So the unexpected but expected happened. I know, very confusing. I just confused myself by saying that. But what I mean by that is, before this chapter dropped, we all knew that something was going to happen with Gray saving Ghosh in this chapter. And you have as one side of the fan base that didn't want that to happen. Then you have the other side of the fan base that wanted Ghosh alive. Now for me, I was a little bit split in the middle, where I didn't mind Ghosh dying, but if he was to live, it has to make sense. But before reading this chapter, I thought that if he was to die, it would give Gray more importance, it would give her more motivation to be more of a powerful mage. But now, reading this chapter, you realize that Ghosh is a huge factor in her backstory. And now looking back on this, if Ghosh was to die, we probably would have never got that impactful backstory of Gray. Or if we would have got it after Ghosh died, I would have been feeling some type of way. I would have been thinking to myself like, wow, we could have got Gray x Ghosh. But now, since he's alive, we're going to get Gray x Ghosh. But on a serious note, I'm glad that this happened, because now we know and understand Gray a lot more. Because out of all the Black Bulls, she was the most misunderstood. Gordon was at one point, but now that we see his family and the way he is, it all makes sense now. But for Gray, we never knew a single thing about her. But this chapter, I will say, is very controversial. You know, I know a lot of people prefer Ghosh dying, and again, I will say that I definitely preferred him dying. But with the confirmation in this chapter by Dante that Gray is an arcane stage mage, that means that Tabata has a plan for her in this arc. So she's going to have a more important role in this arc, then I'm all for it. But before we start this review, I did change my style in the reviews a little bit. I know a lot of you guys listen to me more like a podcast on the reviews, but I know there are some of you who want to look at the screen, and I know you don't want to look at one image for 10 plus minutes, right? So, for example, if I'm talking about Asta and Dante fighting in the chapter, then I will show Dante and Asta on the screen, little pop-ups. They won't be on popsicles, but you'd see like a PNG image of both of the characters. Or if I'm talking about Gray and Ghosh and Vanessa, you know, you get the drift. You'll see those three characters. So, I hope you guys enjoy that, and if you do, always remember to leave a like on this video. If you are new, subscribe with notification bells on. So let's talk about Black Clover chapter 244, Cinderella Gray. This chapter continues on with the reaction of Dante after Asta laid a strike on him. Dante mentioned that he did not want to get his hands dirty, but for now, it cannot be helped. And we knew that going into this chapter, after that strike that Asta did, we knew Dante was going to get more serious, which he did. And Dante uses gravity magic heavy in fight, and he gets into a boxing stance and say that now I'm going to use my fist, and literally becomes a JoJo character. He started giving Asta a barrage of punches and started punching Asta out of his black form. And I couldn't help but, when I seen this panel, I couldn't help but to think of JoJo's. And for those of you who follow me for over a year when I first started this channel, you know I'm a huge JoJo fan. I used to do episode reviews of JoJo. You know, I love the series. But when Dante was punching Asta, Dante literally became a stan. He became Star Platinum, giving Asta a fury of barrage punches. So for now, Dante, best boxer in Black Clover, confirmed with proof for now. You know what? It would have been better. I would have lost my mind if Dante's Devil Lucifero came out and started punching Asta just like that. It would have been so bizarre. While this is happening, we see Gray and Vanessa are still there with Ghosh, and Gray is crying because she still feels useless. You know, she's trying to figure out what she can do. And then we see Gray's backstory. And I see why this chapter is called Cinderella Gray, because this was very Cinderella-like. We see Gray as a child with dirt all over her face and body, with her mother walking away, who looks just like the witch queen from the back, but we know that's not her. And then we see Gray's evil stepsisters, who are just like in Cinderella, and they calling her ugly, saying, "Do not show me your face, you're pitiful." They just saying all types of things, just making her feel worthless. Telling her to finish cleaning, do laundry, do dishes, finish sweeping. It just bullying at this point. Telling her to hide her ugly looks. And I'm gonna be real with you, when I was reading this chapter, I wanted Gray to slap the heck out of her sisters. But we know that wasn't going to happen, but her mother didn't even care. This is so messed up. Didn't see a little mini time skip, and the reason why I say time skip because Gray looks a lot bigger and taller in these next few panels. In the previous panel, she looked very smaller, so I would say that a few years have went by at this point. But while Grey is practicing her magic, yet again her stepsisters are bullying her, saying that don't you have any other magic that you learned already? Show us a little. And then Grey transformed, and with this transformation she looked just like her stepsisters. Same dress, same hairstyle, but Grey looks a little better. Way better, I should say. And her sisters, of course, get very, very angry, and they pull out their grimoires ready to attack Grey, saying that mother gave us this beautiful face, not you, go back to your regular self. I will kill you. And they chased her out of her home. And you know, after seeing that little part of her backstory, it all makes sense why Grey is so shy and timid, because she grew up in a home where she was bullied and she was told that she was ugly and everything. So this is why Grey always hates the fact of someone looking at her. That is why in the beginning of the series we did not see her true form until later on, until she felt really accepted and we see her true form every single day. But she felt as though that she had to hide herself. This was an insecure issue. And the reason why we seen Grey for the first time in a Sea Temple arc, because she ran out of mana. But she felt accepted by the Black Bulls because no one called her ugly when she showed herself. So when Grey continued to run, she started thinking to herself that there is no way I can go back home. I don't know what can happen, but I guess magic doesn't suit me. But can I really live in the outside world alone? And then we see these three guys coming out of the woods saying, wow, isn't it a lady from the White Tree family? Can you please do a kindness to poor thieves like us? But Grey talks about that she doesn't have any money. She doesn't have anything to give them. But they respond saying that, well, your body will do. And one of the guys screamed out saying, hold her. And they was gonna do the unthinkable, mess up thing to Grey, which could have been very, very disturbing. And then we see mirrors with beams of light hitting the thieves right in the back and putting them down for good. And it was Ghost saving the day while holding little Marie. And it's funny because he starts talking about, don't be mistaken, I only did this because Marie asked me to. Are you okay, little Marie? Did you get hurt? And it's so like Ghost because he should be checking on Grey, seeing if she was okay, but he checks on his sister even though he had his sister in his hand the entire time. And it just reminds me how when Ghost and Asta, when they were saving the kids in the dungeon arc where they were fighting Sally, and that's when before Lick showed up, and they was fighting Sally and saving all the kids with Mother's Teresa. He gets Marie and then runs away. And Asta's like, what about all the other kids? And he said, all I care about is Marie. And it was the funniest thing ever. But now we know that Ghost, at this present time, he cares about all the Black Bulls because Asta helped change his mind. So he cares about all the Black Bull members, including Marie, but still Marie a little more. Ghost then tells her that if you are uncertain about running away, then go back immediately. If you don't have the determination to get anything done by yourself, then you cannot live up to this dirty world. And this is important for Ghost to say because this was before he became a Black Bull. You know, Ghost really didn't have anybody in his life, only his little sister. So Grey and Ghost, they have a lot to relate to. They families, they're not part of their families. They both runaways and they just didn't come from good homes. So it makes sense for Ghost to give this speech to Grey because Ghost knows how it is to live on his own. He's done it before he became a Black Bull. So telling Grey that if you don't have the determination to live on your own, then go back immediately is good advice. And then we get to the present where Grey is thinking to herself that, you know, ever since that day when she met Ghost, it gave her light to live on. She goes on to say that as I desperately lived on, I met you again, and I got a comrade like family who I can trust. I want to save you, Ghost, and it's embarrassing, but I want you to look at me more, a stronger me. And there it is, folks. Grey x Ghost. Confirmed, because these two are made for each other. They are meant together, and we're going to see that maybe in another time skip in Black Clover. These two are going to be dating. They're going to have kids together, and I can see these two, you know, this ship, I can see that happening. It works. And this is where the controversy happened in this chapter. Grey was able to remove the sword away from Ghost and completely erased it and closed his wound. And Vanessa is completely shocked. And I think that was the reaction we all had when we seen this chapter. She completely removed the sword and closed the wound. And Vanessa last chapter talked about that she wasn't even sure that if Nero can seal this with her sealing magic. And we all know how Grey's magic works. She's able to transform a magic spell into something else, change its property. But she was able to do this, and she didn't say the spell name. And you know, it's a lot of uncertainty that a lot of people felt when they seen this that happened in a chapter. I will talk more about it in my chapter breakdown of how she was able to do this, because it is quite confusing, but it should be simple because this is how Grey's magic work. But I do want more detailed of how this will happen, so I will talk more about that in my next video. But once this happened, we see Asta is completely done. He's out of his black form, and Dante, he's going towards them saying, "Excellent to know that there were other arcane stage mages here. A power would be such a waste if I leave it here." And he looks at Grey and Vanessa and says, "Both of you, be my woman." And it's crazy because Dante, at this point, he wants every girl who has arcane stage abilities. Like, if he's seen Charmy, because I'm pretty sure Charmy, she has arcane stage abilities since she's a hybrid, he would want her as well. But Noelle is probably the only one he wouldn't want, because Noelle is not an arcane. For what we know so far, she has the basic water element of magic. But who knows, maybe her Valkyrie Jest, that could probably change the property, but I doubt it. But she's not arcane for what we know. But Dante, he wants every girl in the Black Bull. Plus, Noelle is still young, so if he wanted her, he would pull a R. Kelly, and I don't think Tabata would put that in the series. We then see Dante going towards Grey and Vanessa, and while this is happening, we see a huge slash between them, nothing but dark energy. And it's Yami back with Finro, and he tells Dante, "Hey, don't you dare lay a hand on any of my members." And that was the highlight for me in this chapter, and that was the end of it. And it just makes me think that, wow, next chapter is going to be something spectacular, because we're going to see Dante versus Yami. That is something I've been waiting for. That's like the main event, and I already know that after reading this chapter, some people are still going to feel as though Grey and her spell by saving Ghosh, they still aren't gonna like that. And I get why. I can understand where people is coming from. I can understand why people may like it, because all over Twitter I see a lot of people saying plot armor activated, and there is some plot armor into this. There's going to be a lot of things in the story of Black Clover where the whole community aren't going to agree with everything. You know, it's going to be a split division on a lot of things, and that's just life. Everybody has a different opinion. Was this another 10 out of 10 chapter? No, not every chapter is going to be perfect. I will give this one a 6 out of 10. And the best moments for me was Dante punching Asta like a JoJo character and Yami coming back. That's what I really like. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. Remember to join my Discord. I will leave that in the comment section or description if you want to read the chapter. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. You guys take care of yourself. Have an awesome life. And I'm out.